Peace and good morning, dear brethren. This is by the Heavenly Father's grace and mercy and spirit upon us, bringing forth the Heavenly Father's word of truth. Today is being celebrated as a Thanksgiving, and typically deceitfully mentioned as, Thanksgiving to the Heavenly Father. Thank God for what we have. Thank God that people are from America, Babylon the Great, and not, other, poorer countries. But what we want to make sure to do is God gave us his word. And one of the pacts and promises and contracts by his word that he said he would do is always make sure his word, which he would make into a book, the Bible, would be available. And that he would translate it so whatever language, wherever we're scattered that we speak, we would be able to verify and find truth and seek it. So make sure that instead of trying to follow and give thanks to God based on what we hear men or we see that's common in traditions in this wicked world, make sure you stay in the Bible, because when we follow traditions, we start to break commandments. We're actually being deceived and sinning by following Satan and don't realize it. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 20. And it says, let me get this real quick. And this is the King James Version of the Bible. This is the 1769 King James Version of the Bible, just making sure that this is something that we realize and learn that it is the word of the Heavenly Father. This has nothing to do with King James. It wasn't something that he or the scholars that he hired to translate the Bible. This isn't his nor their word. 1 Corinthians 10, verse 20. But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to God. So when we see the nations of the world, when we see the so-called white man, when we see the so-called Arabs, when we see other nations following what's widely accepted in the world, like Thanksgiving, New Year's, Christmas, 4th of July, or any other such feast days or celebrations, we have to make sure we realize that God said that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to God. So even Thanksgiving isn't giving thanks to God. That's why we don't find it in the Bible. That's why the Heavenly Father warns us not to follow the things that the Gentiles do or sacrifice or worship to. Not to follow those things. It says, let's continue reading, and it says, and I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils. Ye cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. Ye cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and of the tables of devils. So in a literal way, most celebrations and feast days all come with, particular meals. Like on Christmas or Thanksgiving, there's a turkey, there's a certain meal that goes along with these idolatrous feasts. So we have to make sure that by learning the Bible, we see that we can't just follow whatever everyone follows or whatever we haven't researched to realize, hey, if this is not in the Bible, you don't have to go research books about Thanksgiving. No, just stay in the Bible. If it's not in the Bible, that means that's where we avoid it. Nice and simple. And this is also Colossians 2 and 8. There are many scriptures on the topic, but we're just going to a couple of important scriptures and precepts to add to, one's understanding. So that brothers and sisters that are truly desirous to serve the Heavenly Father, to do what's right, they can wake up by this word. Christ said his sheep hear his voice. His voice is the Bible. This is Colossians 2, verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world. The rudiments of the world, meaning what's invented or made from the world. What the whole world is doing, what a particular society such as Babylon the Great, America is doing. We can't follow those things anymore. That's why we realize that they come from men, and there's no thanksgiving in the Bible. We're supposed to give God thanks every day. We're not supposed to love our mother on Mother's Day or love God or talk about Christ on Easter Sunday. No, we're supposed to follow the Lord every day. We're supposed to honor our father and mother every day. We're supposed to love your children every day. Not only on Christmas, not only on Halloween and Christmas and these idolatrous feasts. So let's read this again from the top. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. So once we see that it's not a holiday and it's not something after Christ, which means it's after the Bible, once we don't see it in the Bible, or the Bible actually condemns it, then we're not to follow it, period. Even if it's sold or it's described as a feast day or a holiday that worships God or celebrates things that the Bible tells us are good things. To honor our father and mother is good. To acknowledge the Lord in all our ways is good. But once you start to add philosophies and rudiments of the world and traditions of men and vain deceits that are not biblical and that we're not allowed to follow, that's when we have to turn away. All honor, praises, and glory to our Almighty Heavenly Father through His Word in our life, the biblical Jesus Christ.